TNA signing a former AEW star. Also, we're going to talk about a huge change coming to WWE, plus so much more right here on The Ango Show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to TAS. Don't forget, we got a giveaway at 100K. I want to kick things off with Gunther, who is supposedly going to be making some history. There's a Twitter account that has a lot of great stats at WWE Stats. You can find a ton of old school information and things like that. They put out a very interesting tweet that I find exciting because it just goes to show you how much WWE has pretty much overall changed the mid-card title belts. Superstars who defended the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania multiple years in a row. Randy Savage was the first from 1986 to 1987. Ultimate Warrior 1989 to 1990. The Rock did it in 1997 and 1998. And now since then, nobody else has done it, but Gunther will be doing it. He obviously did it last year in 2023. And now he will be doing it at 2024. And I think this is just such a cool statistic, considering that a lot of people wrote Gunther off. Obviously coming into WWE, NXT UK, having a very significant title reign, then goes to NXT 2.0. And, when we see Walter become Gunther and they change his name and just like everybody just thought this guy was going to flop. And it's amazing. One of the cool things about being a content creator, especially like someone that does this daily, I do remember those conversations being had, how a lot of people would write him off, like WWE is going to ruin him. And, interestingly enough, his reign began obviously when Vince was in power, or not just necessarily his reign, but he was called up obviously when Vince was in the company. But he was one of the few that Vince actually booked pretty damn strong. The real difference maker was Triple H, though, in the sense that Gunther was given this opportunity to really highlight the Intercontinental Championship. You started to see the way that he would talk about the title. It was just so different, the promos. I think this is also a small little detail, but when he calls it the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship of the World, to me, it's a very convincing promo that he delivers. And I do love that Gunther is holding the IC title. I think, it's going to be really interesting to see how things go at WrestleMania. But also at the same time, too, this guy clearly is a future star. We're seeing it firsthand. He has literally changed the IC title for years to come. So whoever's the next IC champion, definitely it's going to be a token of appreciation from WWE if they allow you to take it off of his hands. I want to turn our attention to a change that WWE and Triple H are making. We've kind of noticed this if you watch our live streams where we do like a post show. Maybe you've never been in them before, but we just talk about the show that we're watching. It's not really structured or anything, but one thing that we've noticed quite a bit in recent months is that WWE has definitely been a lot less scripted. And we were kind of curious about this. Like, I know people in the chat would mention it, I would mention it, but there's definitely been this general curiosity as far as what kind of changes have WWE made regarding scripts. I'm not the biggest fan of Dave Meltzer, and I've been pretty clear about that. I think his reporting it's an interesting way of reporting, but there is something that is interesting that he does bring up. He says that in the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, he says that there were some concerns among some in the company that they allowed Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins to basically do their promos unscripted. There was a fear of like the Vince McMahon name drop and stuff like that. But Meltzer goes on to say it was not scripted word for word, which most things on that show are. They let these guys have free reign. There was one moment where there were a lot of people thinking this might not be a good idea, and it was the Vince McMahon reference. He goes on to talk about it because Vince McMahon's name shouldn't be brought up on television, that type of thing. But my point that I'm bringing up, or the reason why I'm even bringing this up in general, is because I do think that you can tell on WWE programming there are talent who are a lot less scripted than others. It is clear. I think if you watch SmackDown, Raw, NXT, there are certain talent. There are a lot. They are able to basically do their promos by spitballing freestyle. I think they're given bullet points, that type of thing. And then there's other people, which, you know, I don't really want to say names, but I think you could tell very clearly when you're watching Raw or SmackDown who is being given a promo and it's scripted word for word. And I actually don't have a problem with this. I think in AEW, WWE, TNA, I think there's just certain people who are levels above others when it comes to promos, and they should be given that freedom, right? CM Punk is a hell of a talker. Drew McIntyre is showing the entire world that he is a hell of a talker. And obviously Seth Rollins is gold on the mic. So these guys had a very magical segment, and it just seemed like, whoa, like what is WWE actually allowing here? Because you could just tell it wasn't scripted word for word. And this is not the first instance, obviously. You could tell with the way The Rock or Cody or Roman spitballs their promos. Like, there's just certain things. Like, they probably have the idea in the head, and WWE saying, hey, we need you to accomplish this, get it done in this amount of time. And obviously, there's just certain people that are better than others, and those are the ones given the freedom. I'm intrigued to see how it's going to go and who else is given that opportunity. I think one point that has to be made is some people that are restricted to a script, maybe those people shouldn't be, you know, stuck to a script in the event that maybe they are actually good at delivering promos, but the scripts are actually bad. Who knows? Who knows, right? Definitely something to keep in mind. But that brings us to our final topic. Don't forget, guys, we do have that giveaway at 100K. Don't forget about that. Mike Santana's looks like he's going to TNA. According to Fightful Select, it appears that, according to their new report, Sean Ross Sapp has said that TNA Wrestling is planning on bringing in Santana. Nobody really knows exactly when he's expected in the company. There hasn't been a date given or anything like that. But obviously, we've been following the news of Mike Santana leaving AEW. Obviously, it was very unfortunate that him and Ortiz didn't work out as a tag team. One of my favorites. They were so good in TNA. They were so good in Impact. And then they went to AEW, and I was like, wow, mind blown. I love that day. I remember sitting in the suite, and I was telling my friends there, I said, yeah, you know, as an Impact fan, unfortunately, we lost a good one. And they were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, you'll see. And next thing you know, they got the Dead President masks, and everything just came out beautifully. I remember covering that on this channel, and it was just such a cool thing, and just being able to see that live. You want to see these guys have big time matches in AEW, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out. Mike Santana going to TNA will be totally cool, man. He wants to take a bet on himself as a singles guy. Going to TNA doesn't require a very long-term contract. He can go and do some stuff. I think it's a great addition for TNA. I do want to say, though, as a fan of TNA, and I love their booking, I love what they're doing with Top Dollar and Rich Swann. I love what they're doing with Josh Alexander, obviously. Look, here's how I look at this. TNA has some good TV. They really do. Their production got better, and now all of a sudden I'm watching TNA again, and I see the production is going to shit. The lighting, the camera, the audio. As somebody who's a fan of TNA, and I talk about TNA, and I'm very positive towards TNA, and I want to see TNA do well. You know, you fire Scott D'Amore, and then you start to see the quality of the product dip. I don't know if that's just a coincidence or whatever, but Anthem as a company, if you were hearing this message, what I would say is please invest in the overall presentation of your product. I don't know. This is the best advice you'll ever get, and it's not only coming from me, it's coming from a very large audience. Perception is reality, and when your product looks worse than some of these indie companies, it is detrimental to your product, because if you can't invest in your product, then why should fans invest their money into your product? And I sincerely mean this. This is coming from somebody who loves TNA, goes to TNA events, covers TNA. I think TNA is great. They're doing a lot of things right. But you got to invest in it. You really got to invest in it. There is no reason why I can go on Triller TV and see indie shows looking better than TNA. There's just no reason. And I'll just leave it at that.